So now it's your turn to fire away some questions. We've got a couple of mics set up there in addition to the two on the stage. There's those two out there. And if the three of you would like to come up, you can, so that you don't feel too awkward, you can even just sit along on the front here or stand. There are not enough stools, but just make yourself comfy. And then I would invite any of you in the audience to fire off some questions to our esteemed speakers this afternoon. Yes, sir, go ahead. If you want to ask a question, just line up behind a mic. That will be the most orderly and civilized way of doing this.
When a company is beginning to get started, at some stage, there'll be a desire to, or should be a desire, I think, to develop a board of directors. And often, the person you can encourage or bribe to become the chairman of the board might make a big difference in your future and the network of people you build. And I'm wondering whether there's advice as to when it's early enough or when it's too early.
Who wants to take that? Mark?
I can start. I think that, for me personally, I think that we have a board, obviously. We have both of our investors are on the board. Obviously, when they make a significant investment, they expect a seat on the board. Obviously, Mike's got a little bit of experience in our space, so he has insight into ideas around strategy and how to approach the market, go-to-market strategies. Our other board member is a little less familiar with the market, but he obviously brings other skills, and he has a network and those types of things that contribute. So I think that, for me, it's actually not about the board of directors. I actually think that you can build a powerful network in a board of advisors. They don't need to formally be on a board of directors. There's a whole bunch of liability with being on a board of directors that when you actually start doing it, you realize, you're liable for a whole bunch of things. And I have small investments in little angel things, and I would never want to be on the board of directors of the business for that reason, but I'm on my own board of directors, obviously. So I think there's a way for startups to get all kinds of talent and insight from people that aren't formally on a board. So I would recommend them doing that and keeping the board to the minimum, actually, keeping it very small, because as a CEO, I spend a lot of time doing paper shuffling stuff that's just signing stuff. And if I had 8 board members, it would be a real pain in the ass, to be blunt. Getting all these signatures on these resolution forms and all this stuff that sucks up your time.
So Mark, how many do you have? How many?
We have 4 on the board.
And are they all, except for the CEO,
so
are they all
myself,
independent?
The only independent is my brother Terry. So I have a brother on the board, and he's obviously he's our independent. Obviously, a lot of experience in the market. And then Mike and Tom, who are both on the investment side. But I have a whole bunch of people that are advisors to the company that are not formally on the board.
But certainly, speaking as an investor in your company, I take great comfort in having a good board, because that provides the high-level oversight.
So you absolutely need a board. I'm just saying that do you need a big, huge board? I don't believe so, right?
How about you guys, Jan and Maryam? What size do you have?
Yeah, we sort of went along the similar route. We have a board of advisors, but no board of directors, because we only have an angel funding. So I would say get advisors for your company as soon as possible, but a board of directors doesn't need to be created until later on. This would be my advice.
Okay, that was a good question. Did you have a comment on that, Riz?
Just a comment. When I had my own company, and it was a venture-funded company, it was a syndicated investment. You get a lot of investors on the board. Before that happens, it's really important to have someone who's independent and is not an investor, who can actually keep the cats in the barn. So it's just a suggestion that if you are doing a syndication, think early who might be a good independent director.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions coming up over here, and if you guys could keep it fairly brief, that would be appreciated, because we've only got about 5 or 6 minutes left. So next question, please.
Hi, my name is Eugene. Short time, I'll just direct this to Maryam. So from my understanding, the IRAP program, as well as SRED and everything else, takes time to acquire, relationships for the funding cycles to go through, like you said, right? If you don't do it at the right time, you're kind of gone. I imagine you guys probably face that, things probably didn't align perfectly in the way that they did. In the meantime, how did you guys go on, fund yourselves? Was it personal funding, or I'm just curious?
Yeah, great question, because I remember that before we started, like we were talking about incorporating, there was this request for proposals from TGAP, Precarn, and it was out. We said, okay, we're gonna like run and do it like very quickly and submit the proposal, and then within 5 days we got notified that the fund is fully allocated. Like there was no deadline, 5 days after the request for proposals. So it is definitely a challenge. The same thing, we approached IRAP. They were fully allocated for that fiscal year. So we had to do the work to get funded by SRNED. That's it, no government money. Yeah, we put in our own money, and basically trying to really reduce costs in the beginning to be able to put together a prototype so that we can show that to an investor. We also raised a bit of money from family and friends. And I think that should be the first source of money investment before you go to angel investors.
Okay, great. Thanks, Maryam. Next question, please.
Hi. Mike, you gave a nice rule of thumb on the VC, what your expectations were for a certain investment in return. Have you got an equivalent rule of thumb for the angel round, and sort of what level of dilution the founders are going to accept at that?
So my rule of thumb is just to look always when you're financing at the next financing. Just have a theory about how that's going to work. And so if, for example, you've decided that you want to be on the venture capital treadmill, then you have to have a theory about what that next financing round is going to look like, and you want to make sure that the deal that you do is one that leaves some wiggle room around valuation. And one of the things that's the most disappointing thing that you see in my business, especially when you're working with angel investors upon who we rely for deal flow, is an investment that has resulted in the, right out of the gate, the angel investor sees the value of their investment go down when the venture capital financing gets done. And we call it internally angel abuse, and there's a fair bit of it around town. So I think the two things to do are look at that next financing, and then when you know what that next or you think you know what that next financing looks like, try to, then you get a sense of how expensive that angel money is. And when you have a sense of how expensive that angel money is, you can think really hard about what it is that you really need to get done with the angel money, and stuff that you can wait on until you get the next financing done. But the main thing is to try to engineer it so that your angels get a bit of a valuation lift when they get the VC financing done, because there's a lot of risk associated with whether or not that's going to happen.
Okay, thanks. Let me take a quick shot at answering that question in a slightly different way. I was just at the Angel Summit conference in Montreal last week, and the week before I heard a presentation from a researcher in the US that studied 1,000 exits. So these are 1,000 companies that were angel and in many cases VC-backed that experienced exits. The seed rounds, the angel rounds, it came down to a very, very simple formula, and actually the value depends a little bit on the amount of capital that you're raising. Usually works out to giving up about 1/3 of your company, but the number that was given was you take the amount of the seed round and divide it by 0.3, and that's your post-money valuation. And that seemed to be quite a universal rule, and we're seeing that here in this community too. Of about 100 companies that I've seen in the last year, that seems to be what the number is working out to be. So it's not discounted cash flows or anything like that. It's a far more simpler formula, and it really boils down to what percentage does it make sense to give an investor or for an investor to get.
Sell.
Yeah. A couple of quick ones here. I saw we got the flag here. We've really only got a minute left, so let's go rapid fire. Quick question, quick answer. 10 bytes or less.
Question is for Mark, is how did you balance 2 or more VCs in terms of different priorities, different interests, and different desired end result?
You mean when I was pitching or after?
When you're pitching.
It's a full-time job. It literally, I went down the valley. I lived down there for, well, not literally, but I was down there all the time, going up and down Sand Hill Road, just pitch, learn, pitch. I just refined the pitch. It's pretty much all I did for I don't know, a number of months, and then we kind of went dark because the financial crisis happened, so we kind of stopped. But yeah, I mean, it's just, as a CEO, when you're in pitch mode, you basically, that's kind of all you're thinking about, to be honest with you. It's very distracting from focusing on the business, so another reason why you want to have a good team.
Okay, great. Next question.
Ali, Sam Fraser University. Mark was talking about finding a problem first and then applying a technology to it. Question is for Optemo. Did you weren't really clear as to what the problem was and how you approached it. I understand you both were working in a master's thesis of some sort.
Yeah.
Did you guys actually go to Best Buy and find what the problem first, the user experience problem, and then apply the technology, or did you start backwards? Do you have an algorithm kind of?
No, what we did is we found a problem with online shopping. It wasn't very specific at that point. And then we took an iterative approach where we built a first prototype. We had a consumer-facing website first, actually. And we were seeing...
Quickly, Jan, we got to...
So...
We're getting the red flag here.
Okay. Next...
Okay. So you had an idea, but then you refined it after meeting with the customer.
Yeah.
Good. Quick question,
okay,
real quick.
Just quickly, what characteristics do you look for in a team as an investor, Mike, when you go to talk to the team members, characteristic-wise, in terms of knowledge, age, background?
Okay, good. Answer.
Really, we're looking for a two-headed beast, ideally. We're looking for a company that has a product maker and a customer maker. And that's a combination we really like. And more often than not, we like the customer maker to be the CEO.
Okay, great. Thank you, panelists and speakers, and thanks to the audience.